talk about those issues is Mayor Fisher. Mayor, let's start this morning when protesters confronted you at an event. Many of them were saying you've not been transparent with the ongoing Breonna Taylor investigation. What do you say to those people who still have concerns?
Well, my primary concern from the beginning has been getting the truth out, right? I mean, that's why I asked the FBI, the Attorney General, and the U.S. Attorney to all get involved. It's why we turned the case file over to Daniel Cameron over 2 months ago when it was 95% complete so he could get started on this project. And it's why we continue to put out any information that we legally can. And we're going to continue to do that. This morning was a great announcement where we had $2.8 million new affordable housing apartment in the West End of Louisville in the Portland neighborhood, the exact kind of investment that people in the West say they want more of. And some protesters showed up and expressed their displeasure about that, but we're going to continue to invest in West Louisville. They deserve the same type of amenities and assets that every part of the city has.
And Mayor, last night, Metro Police released a statement outlining their reasoning for shooting pepper balls at protesters. LMPD claims the group was hitting a car, trying to break a window and setting off fireworks. But video around that time has come out and appears to show the group acting differently. And protesters claim that's not what happened. What are you doing to make sure police only use force when absolutely necessary?
Well, an important part of this is when the protesters have video evidence that contradicts what LMPD is saying or what LMPD has, we need to see that as well. So we can compare the two and ultimately get to what really happened that evening. But the police should be very clear on what their use of force is in these situations. Number one, obviously they're trying to protect life and safety of anybody that is under attack or being threatened. So that's their primary purpose. Then property comes after that. And then to use judgment, right? If they can de-escalate a situation, that's always what you want to do first.
We've now had the chance to hear more audio from when Kenneth Walker and Sergeant Mattingly were interviewed by LMPD. Do you think from what we've been able to hear so far that officers acted appropriately in the investigation?
Well, that's the action that I could take on that case and the chief of police could take has been taken already. Now the ball's in Daniel Cameron's court. Any police officer, whether it's this investigation or any others that violates the law, that breaks some type of policy within LMPD will be held accountable. So that's the purpose of this investigation, and it's the purpose of why we've asked third parties to get involved as well.
And Mayor, the place-based investigations unit of LMPD has come under scrutiny from the Metro Council after being referenced in a filing by attorneys for Breonna Taylor's family. You say your office was not involved in the investigation. Do you think there's at least an appearance of a conflict of interest when the property that is at the focus of a drug investigation is bought by the city just months later?
No, I mean, this is there's no facts on what was asserted in this. Elliott Avenue is a street in West Louisville that is filled with vacant and abandoned properties. What we're trying to do on a street like that is if we can get control of the properties and then repurpose them for affordable housing, we're going to do that. But tying that somehow to the Breonna Taylor case is a super reach, and I don't understand how the dots are even connected on something like that. But what we've done is any information that we have with that is available for people to see. Just like so many of the efforts we've had in West Louisville with the Russell Neighborhood Association, 100+ meetings, lots of community involvement. Again, people deserve to live in safe places, regardless of where you are in this city.
Mayor Fisher, earlier this week, we attempted to obtain dash cam footage and any potential other body camera footage from LMPD on the night David McAtee was killed. We were denied and told that video could impact or identify witnesses. Some surveillance video has already been made public. Is there any video of that night that has not yet been released? And if so, why?
Yeah, our practice is when there's an officer-involved shooting, as you all know, within 24 hours we have a press conference and then we release the body camera evidence on that. So there is not that evening. What people saw was video from the surrounding properties, including David McAtee's, Yaya's, his barbecue shack there. It's also, why KSP is the investigating agency for this particular case to make sure it's not LMPD or the National Guard, and we know obviously the National Guard had the shot that night.
And Mayor, let's talk about the coronavirus real quick. Governor Beshear is leaving it up to local health departments to enforce his new mask requirements. How is Metro Health going to do that?
Yeah, they're probably the most effective area to do that is when they're visiting restaurants and bars. But this whole thing about mask compliance, I just am asking folks to please, just think about what the logical thing is to do for you to keep others safe and you safe. When I hear this, how are you going to enforce things? It reminds me like we're in kindergarten. It's like, are we going to tell on somebody? What are you going to do? It is the right thing to do to wear a mask, right? It'll keep you safer. It'll keep those that you love safer as well. Look what's happening in Florida and Texas right now. I mean, the virus is out of control. We've been very responsible here in Louisville. I'm proud of our citizens and our Commonwealth. We've kept this virus somewhat under control compared to other places. So the next logical step with this big spread that we see around the country is for all of us to wear a mask right now, which will really help to keep the virus at bay. So I'm just asking everybody, please do the right thing.
And the virus is affecting people of all ages. As we know, even today, the new cases reported from the state, there were 13 kids under the age of 5 affected. It's also popping up among younger adults. What efforts are you looking at to make sure it doesn't spread dangerously among that group?
So that's a great example, right? These 5-year-olds, they're not getting it because they're out at bars, okay? What we've seen is a spike in the 20 to 44-year-old white category that we think traces back to the bars. Now, when we take a look at what's happened in Florida and Texas, it definitely goes back to their bars. Those were states that closed down later and opened up sooner than we are. So if you have to go out to a bar, keep social distance, okay? And our health department will be out making sure that people are in compliance as well. So there's a specific target on areas like that to make sure there is compliance. But again, if you don't need to go out, please don't go out. If you're going to be with people, it's safer outside than inside. Wear your mask, social distance. We know all that works. It protects those under 5, and it protects those over 65 as well, which is where we have the highest death rate.
Mayor, last question. Many people are still wondering how or even if kids go back to school in classrooms this fall. What do you think are the most important things for making sure they stay safe?
Yeah, so much of this is in our hands, right? Or on our face, I should say. If people wear a face mask, we're going to reduce the transmission of this deadly virus. So a lot of these outcomes are going to be determined by the discipline that we have to keep ourselves safe, our friends and family safe. Because when you start talking about putting everybody back in school, we don't have to be thinking just about the kids. What about the teachers and the staff members there as well? So I know everybody wants to see that happen, but I think it's going to be more of a game time decision, because what we're seeing with this virus is the conditions in your city can radically change in 5 days, 7 days, if people are not following the safe protocols for public health. So again, just really encourage everybody to do that. Please wear your mask. It's the right thing to do.
Speaking of game time, there's a big soccer match at the Lynn Family Stadium in Louisville on Sunday. Fans are going to be there. Are you going, and do you think that's a good idea?
Well, that's going to be a game time decision for me as well. Lynn Family Stadium has put forth a plan that our health department feels is workable. What I would say, what we're most concerned about there is like pinch points, right? So if a lot of people show up at the same time to get into the stadium, don't go around there, just wait for those crowds to move through. And then there's enough room in the stadium to practice social distancing. You got to have a mask on while you're in there as well. So this is what we're trying to balance, right? The ability to get out and live a normal life in this pandemic. So we're still trying to figure that out. So if you go to the game to root on the very best team in the USL, that we will win the championship again this year, please practice safe public health practices.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for stopping by and talking with us.
All right. Thank you.